KSLA News 12 starts with breaking news.
And we begin with team coverage tonight of an attempted armed robbery with shots fired. One of those shots coming from a Shreveport police officer during the chase. Nearly 24 police units were called out to that scene, and here's what we know so far. We've learned that 2 of the 3 suspects are in custody. However, police tell us one of the suspects in custody was shot by the robbery victim.
Police also tell us that the second suspect was caught after a brief chase. At this time, police say they are looking for a third suspect. We have team coverage from multiple scenes today. We begin our team coverage with KSLA News 12's Melissa Kakarika live from Hollywood Avenue. And Melissa, we heard that Police Chief Alan Crump was actually one of the first officers on scene.
Yes, Dominique, we do know that Police Chief Crump was here at some point. As far as why the chief was on scene or what his level of involvement was, that remains to be seen. That's still being investigated, along with the involvement of all the officers. Names have not been released of the officers who did fire shots during this incident. Now, we have been able to get back into the alley where this shooting happened just after 2 o'clock. When police were here earlier, they were set up right back here, kind of where that dumpster is. Right to the right of that is where this armed robbery is believed to have happened. As you said, the victim, who we believe is involved with the restaurant here in some way, shot the alleged suspect. Then 1 or 2 other suspects who were with the suspect took off, fled on foot, and police say that is when officers got involved.
We did apprehend one of those suspects a short distance away after a brief foot chase. Now, during that foot chase, police officers did discharge their service weapons at that suspect.
Now, those officers, again, are not being named at this time, but there is a protocol when weapons are discharged that includes a toxicology test and some paperwork. But again, the officers didn't actually hit anybody. The only person that was actually shot was shot by the alleged victim in this case, who is, of course, being questioned. That shooter, person who was shot, the armed robber who was shot, is at the hospital, also in custody. As you heard, one of the people who fled is in custody, but there is possibly another on the loose. Police are still looking for your help in apprehending that suspect or any information you have about the armed robbery, so you are encouraged to call Crime Stoppers if you have any information. We're going to check back over at the other scene now. Doug and Dom?
All right, thanks, Melissa. We'll check back in with you later in this newscast. We continue our team coverage tonight with KSLA News 12's Stacey Cameron live from Hearn and Murray Street.
All right, Stacey, you spent the good part of the afternoon, and I know following some officers investigating, collecting evidence. Man, there were multiple scenes out there stretching across Hearn, Hollywood, Corbett, and Mansfield roads. Stacey, what have you learned so far?
Well, the Hearn scene right here, Doug, is just now starting to clear up. If you look behind me, there's still a number of detectives on the scene. What we can tell you is about a block up from where you're looking right now, to the right of your screen, is where Chief Alan Crump was at one point. He left with a detective in a detective's car, unmarked, at one point, and then returned. Now, shortly after 3 o'clock, around 3:30, the street you see here, Murray, officers started combing this neighborhood, coming up through the yards, and just here, past the home you're starting to look at in that bush, one witness tells me that's where one of the suspects was apprehended. The witness telling me he heard several shots fired, looked out his window, saw officers running, apprehending that suspect there. They've also been in the backyard of several of these homes. The residents living here telling me officers tell them they're looking for a weapon. No idea if that has been found yet, but they've been canvassing this area for the better part of an hour, 2 hours now. 2 homes back here, the focus, but the people living in those homes, at least one of them, tell me they weren't home at the time. Now, we still are working to try to get the identity of that suspect who was taken into custody here. We'll continue working the scene, Doug, Dom, to get more details and bring them to you when they're available.
All right, Stacey, thank you, sir. We're not done with our coverage. We're going to continue to update you with the very latest on the shooting today. As soon as new developments come in, we will bring it to you live on air and on our KSLA News 12 mobile app.